Hi everyone, welcome to another Reasons and Resources. So as you can see here, in this episode we're looking at reasons and resources for learning Nim. Came out in 2008, so in the grand scheme of things, I suppose you could say that's relatively recent. I mean, only 17 years old, but obviously some of the programming languages we've been looking at in this series of reasons and resources stretch back much further than that. So first things first, my only reason for learning this, if we're talking about personal reasons for learning this, is because I haven't used it in any capacity really. I did check my system just before shooting this video, and I do have Nim installed. And that could be for a couple of reasons. One was I just decided a few months ago to have a quick toe dip and then completely forgot about it. I suspect I think that's probably the most accurate reason. If I look here, no, it's not been done as part of my polyglot programming project. So that'd be another reason why I would have installed on my system, was to test some code. And I've looked through, I've got these project folders that I keep every week that I've been doing for the past, I suppose, couple of months, like a daily challenge thing. And I thought maybe I did this small Nim program and forgot about it, but no. So I think it's definitely a case with me. I downloaded it to do some work with it and then got distracted and never really followed it up, and it's just remained on my system since then. So yeah, so getting back on track, my reason for learning it would purely be curiosity and seeing it out there, floating around on the horizon. But what other reasons apart from curiosity might you want to learn the language? Well, one thing is, I suppose, it's speed and performance. So it's one of these sort of general purpose multi-paradigm languages, and it the compilation target, and we'll check in a moment, I think is that the default is C. But it can compile to other languages, which also makes it interesting from a sort of dependency point of view and a what's that wonderful word, interoperability point of view. And there's this, this foreign function interface, which is a mechanism by which a program written in one programming language can call routines or make use of services written or compiled in another. And so obviously that contributes to interoperability. So yeah, speed and performance might be a reason. And like I said, coupled that with the interoperability, it opens up sort of interesting avenues in systems programming, game development, and high performance computing. Basically programming areas where you may have used another high performance language that it is interoperable with. If we look through, and you can see here there's quite a number of actual revisions over time, and you can read more here about the development of it. One thing I've sort of shied away from doing here, because I knew I'd go down various rabbit holes, is actually having a programming timeline for all programs. There's a pretty cool one in Wikipedia, but I've deliberately bookended that, put it off to one side, because I know if I put that in the series, it would distract me too much, and we'd go off all sorts of weird side quests. Excuse me, I'm wrestling this dreaded cough at the moment. Interesting to look at its sort of timeline with the various release dates, and how Nim fits into the grand scheme of things in terms of what it's been influenced by as well. We'll be doing an episode on Parasail actually at some point, so that's on the horizon. Syntax, so some resemblance, I suppose, to Python there, if you're curious about how it looks. Many keywords are identical to their Python equivalents, which are mostly English keywords, whereas other programming languages usually use punctuation. It does have static typing, unlike Python. And you've also got type conversion in there as well. And you can see there's quite a list of things that have influenced it as well. There's I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. It looks like there's quite a degree of syntactic flexibility there. I'm always a bit cautious of that because I think I've mentioned this before. I tend to find it helpful to become familiar with the programming language's pattern, how it looks on a page, and sometimes this sort of flexibility shenanigans can play havoc with that way of recognizing languages. So here's the compiler bit. So emits fast optimized C code by default. Many C compilers are supported. Unofficial LLVM backend. So there are lots of interesting compiler shenanigans that you can play around with as well. It's another thing I wanted to get onto in terms of reasons is memory management strategies. So, if that's something that you need to get into, then you've got multiple memory management strategies that you can lean into. Again, if that's something you want to play around with as a result of working with embedded systems or anything where obviously performance is a real big deal, and how you manage the memory is going to be very impactful on that. I've already mentioned the interoperability and the foreign function interface capabilities. And then obviously here we use the term general purpose language. Sometimes that raises alarm bells with certain languages because what is general purpose? But here my understanding is that it is truly general purpose, so you can genuinely use it for a wide range of applications, and it shouldn't feel like you're sort of shoehorning something in that doesn't belong, because I know sometimes you see that with supposed general purpose languages where you go do something and you think, no, this doesn't really fit in here. But apparently this isn't the case with Nim. And I'm assuming, looking at it, it's large degree of flexibility here, interoperability, compiler targets obviously contributes to that. I'd be interested in giving a bit of a kick in the tires in a sort of data science stroke AI scenario as well. I'm not sure how it holds up there. Supposedly you can use it for data science tasks, but it'd be interesting to play around with that. I have to remember to do that. What about the GUI actually? GTK3. There's something I've been getting into a bit more in Python, actually, using TK Inter, I think it's called. I think that's right. to do GUIs in Python, and having lots of fun with that. So yeah, be curious about that. Oh, side effects and so on. So I'll include deep links as always, so you can go through. Yeah, that's the other thing actually with the general purposeness, if that's a word. I would be that's actually interesting how that might manifest itself in terms of is it also multi-paradigm? It is an imperative and functional language. So yeah, it's interesting to see what that looks like. Things like encapsulation and also what does dispatch look like? Ticks a lot of boxes here actually. Meta programming, generics, macros. Wow, okay. On the FFI, that's definitely something that I would definitely want to take a look at actually. Oh, parallelism, okay. So threads, wow. I better get on and write that page for the programming polyglot then. Concurrency. Okie doke. I'm just going to save that in case I forgot to include that. Have a look. Some external links. Okay, so that's the reasons. So quite a number of reasons there actually to learn Nim. Makes me want to go off after I've finished shooting all my videos today and go down that rabbit hole. So where should we start? Well, actually, before we sort of go over to the resources, we will take a look at the various stats on Stack Overflow. I seem to remember it was bubbling up in one of these lists. So again, what we're doing here, because they've removed one of my favourite things in the new Stack Overflow, we're looking at 2024 here initially, and most popular, is it even there? I see Zig. Oh, there it is. Now, I seem to remember that from the spreadsheet that I'm keeping. When we get in a moment to the appropriate results, it was bouncing around over several years. We just look at 2024, but I know it sort of came in and stuck around somewhere for a little while on the list. I'm trying to find it on here. I don't always. Oh, there we go. Well, quite a big gap there. Desired 0.9, admired 50.5. There it is. See, top 5. So I'm not sure when that shot in, what particular year, but yeah, it's in this area. Now, of course, when we look at 2025 results, we get obviously a slightly different thing because they've played around with this. But let's see if we find it anywhere at all on this. Where's our admired desired for 2025? Do we see Nim? Where are you, Nim? Has it dropped off the bottom of the list? May well have done. That's not unusual. I don't see it there. What do we want to work with? Oh, this one. No, it's unlikely to be there, isn't it? Here we go. Most popular for 2025. As it shot off the bottom of the list, it might well have done, mightn't it? Looking at these values, unless it's snuck up somewhere. Yeah, that's interesting. So that it's just completely dropped off. Did it get pushed out by Gleam perhaps? I don't know. There's Mojo down the bottom here. I normally sort of, when I hear Zig and Mojo mentioned. I often hear Nim mentioned as well. I don't think you would be using it to learn to code, would you? Somehow. Yeah, anyway. Doesn't look like it's, unless I'm sort of missing it, but just a quick scan, I don't see it. Which doesn't surprise me. But there you go. Always worth a look. So, first resource, official Nim website. Great starting point. You can install Nim. There's various sort of quick guides. You can try out online as well, which is always cool. So that means you don't have to install anything if you don't want to. Here's our documentation. This is really useful. Learn Nim in 5 minutes. There you go. Learn X in Y minutes. So there's a link to that. Yeah, very useful. A Nim Basics tutorial. So yeah, as always with a lot of these languages we've looked at, tons of stuff on the official website. You know, nicely laid out here. Got a blog as well. And we've got Nim by example. So this is on, looks like it's being hosted on GitHub. There you go. Series of short focused examples. And it's sort of, as you can see, it's nice because it's demonstrating like key language features and concepts. So, you know, if you're coming in from another language, I quite like this way of learning where you go, okay, I know loops and iterators. How does it look in Nim? So this is great if you're doing that, almost like I do, pattern matching way of learning. This is nice the way it sort of clicks off here. Although it doesn't unclick. Anyway, yeah. So if you wanted to look at how variables are done, there you go. Oh, we got mutable and immutable. Okay, constants. Good old typecasting and inference. If else, while. Oh, there's our case statements. How does it handle arrays and things like strings is always interesting in a language. Oh yeah. Recognise a lot of conventions here. So yeah, if you've come in from Python, yeah, definitely some of the little, how does it handle JSON? Nice. Yeah, definitely this will be a good one to play around with calls to Gemini APIs because you're playing around with JSON a lot. So yeah. Nice. Okay. We'll get on to exorcism in a moment because it is on there. What else have we got? So I'll include some links to these videos. It's always nice to sort of get a bit of a overview by taking a look at some videos. So I always like to recommend a few things here. So we've got OSCON 2015 where Andreas Rumpf gives an overview of Nim. It's pretty old now, but it's always nice to see that. I quite like watching the early overview or earlier overviews, so you can get a bit of a feel for where the languages come from. And then there's a later one about Nim 2 from 2022. We've got a video from Strange Loop from 2021, Nim Nuggets, System Programming and Metaprogramming Magic. And then Nimrod, a new approach to metaprogramming. So yeah, some good starting points. Some other things that you might, obviously come across there. You saw some stuff down the side, so we've got quite a lot of other things here that you might want to take a look at. And you could do searches for like Nim for beginners type videos. It's always a good place to start. As I said, it is on exorcism. Looks like we've got 70 coding exercises. I don't think there is a learning path for this. There's not learning paths for all languages on exorcism, just a certain percentage of them. And it looks like there isn't a specific learning path for Nim, but there are exercises you can do with appropriate instructions there. So it's got the usual classics. Do for acronyms, pangrams. Where's it gone? Where's the other one they like to do in all of these? Some binary search stuff. There's one that always comes up, which is the surly teenager, and I can't remember what they call it now. Oh, the lackadaisical teenager Bob, and hamming as well is another one I see very popular as a sort of challenge to do in different programming languages. It's quite useful to sort of learn how these different programming challenges manifest themselves in different languages. So yeah, it's always a good point to I think to learn some of these. Start off with the easy ones. What's this? Does it have the what do they call it? That sort of Queen's problem as well. Oh. Compute Pascal's triangle. That was always a one when I was learning BASIC way back in the day. Was to do things with number series. That was always a popular thing. Primes, Pascal's triangle, Fibonacci sequence, that sort of stuff. Yeah. Get you sort of practicing with loops, and then obviously as you go into other languages you can start exploring like recursion techniques and things like that. And I think, as I mentioned at the start, I haven't got there yet. I fully admit this is ground to a bit of a halt, but I will get back on this at some point. I feel fairly comfortable in that I got to where I wanted to initially. And everything else is just gravy from a certain point of view. So yeah, at some point I'll just fill these in. And Nim's definitely a good candidate for that. I should probably just pick the ones that I really want to learn badly and do them first, sort of out of order, rather than try and slog through things like APL or I think it was I got pushed off track by Simula, basically. Nothing against Simula, but it was just, I think, a certain degree of depth of learning I needed to have before I could even attempt to do this, and it just wasn't there. So that sort of went by the wayside. And so that's why you have certain ones here which I did end up doing, because they were just easier from an experience point of view. Anyway, something to while away the long winter evenings, maybe, because I think that's probably last year was when I started it. Was probably around about December actually of 2024. So we're in 2025 now when I'm doing this video. But yeah. So there we have it. Hopefully you found that useful. Some reasons and resources to learn Nim. Thanks once again for watching. Bye for now. And I will catch you in a future video.